ISTPs, they have low organization, low extroversion, low openness to new experiences, and very low agreeableness. In other words, they are the complete opposites of a functional human being. Well-known ISTPs are, for example, Shrek. In other words, the cream of the crop. ISTPs are generally extremely capable individuals who are good at most things that they put their interest in. The problem is that they are not interested in anything. They live almost entirely in the present moment and generally do not commit to anything beyond the immediate and foreseeable future. They prefer to take things one day at a time rather than making long-term commitments. This is often because of their need to detach themselves from relationships and activities, to try to see them from above, so to speak. And when you are a football observer or analyst, for example, you are rarely going to be there on the field playing with other people. Some strengths of these types are your ability to be a good listener, your self-confidence, your practically and realistic view of things, your insensitivity to conflict or criticism, and your ability to let go of relationships with relative ease after they are over. Now, some weaknesses of the ISTPs is their incredible insensitivity. If you have a door as a friend, you probably won't feel the difference. Their inability to identify their own emotions and project them onto others instead of understanding them, using sarcasm and aggressive comments to cover it up. Their difficulty in creating long-term goals, their excessive tendency to be private and hold back parts of themselves, their need for action and emotion to act can make them create unnecessary conflicts to do so sometimes. The ISTP's dominant function is the introverted thinking TI, a function that seeks to understand how things work in categories or patterns to identify the logical inconsistencies of this. In the MBTI pyramid, this would be seeking esteem for superiority. This is what makes the ISTP often detached from everything else, often more of an observer than an agent. In a sentence, this function would be, I must figure out exactly how everything works logistically in relation to everything else. Next, as an auxiliary function, extroverted sensing SE is a sense of what is around them, so to speak. This is what makes this type often identified with the archetype of a mechanic, because they like practical logic, the engineering of things, and seeing this logic expressed in the world more than a philosophy or a theory of things like an INTP would prefer. The auxiliary's SC monologue would be, I want to live in what I identify as the best or most pleasant experiences in life, and I want to see what happens as a result. However, there are ISTPs who are much less practical and much more abstract. Those who like to play League of Legends or Valorant or even also 24 hours a day and do nothing with their lives. Those who just want to know what the limits of a logical idea they had are, and to do so they watch iceberg videos on YouTube and think they are doing something productive with their lives, while in fact they are trying to escape the reality of the world. If SE were doing its job, the ISTP would look outwards much more than inwards and would see the possibilities of expressing themselves instead of keeping everything inside, creating fragile and pathetic theories of the world, like those guys who watch videos about red pill and so on. The NI child monologue would be, everything is connected and there is an evil truth behind things. The shadow of the ISTPs is the extroverted feeling FE. This is what makes this type the most prone of all of the 6 things to be psychopaths. Between that or being racist transphobes on Reddit, due to their lack of attention to relationships, ethics, and social norms. The ISTP can often be insensitive and have little regard for social ethics and other people's feelings. The FE inferior monologue would be, I don't want affection. I don't want emotions in my life. I want to live like a rock. Just exist and then disappear. I don't want a letter. I don't want positive messages. I want to live in pure idleness. I came to Earth to enjoy what it has and then leave. To overcome this, ISTPs should value their expression in the external world, in sensations and in the physical reality of things. To do this, they should spend more time with ESTPs and ESFPs, who would help them to get out of this internal world. The types that get along the best with ISTPs tend to be the ENTJs and ESTJs. And maybe drug dealers from Rio de Janeiro, because they value feelings and empathy very little, and much more the esteem, which makes interaction and communication between these types much more easier. There are also those say that ENFJs and INFJs may be a good match for this type. Well, perhaps because they, like Jesus Christ or Buddha, liked suffering, and putting up with an ISTP is certainly a good path to be this archetype. And comparing with their sister types, INTPs tend to be much more nicer than ISTPs because they just don't know how to socialize rather than having an aversion to socialization like the ISTPs do. ISFPs tend to want much more love and affection from others. ESTPs tend to be much more impulsive and have a lot more sex than the ISTPs do. And ISTJs, well, they tend to have a job and work. And thus, these are the ISTPs.